Crown Zenith might be one of the best Pokemon TCG sets ever printed, especially when looking back at the Sword and Shield era, being the last set with the yellow borders, and with relatively easy pull rates and such a beautiful Galarian gallery. It's no surprise that this set was extremely popular, but with the extreme popularity, this set was printed to oblivion. It's still found on shelves almost 2 years after its initial release. In fact, new product, the Sea and Sky box, came out just a couple of months ago. But that being said, as Crown Zenith is about to turn 2 years old and sealed product is starting to dry up on store shelves, let's take a look at the top singles along with some of the key sealed items and discuss where the value sits and where it could be going in 2025. Alright, so first up is the booster bundle. As I was talking about easy pull rates, there are difficult cards to pull in this set like the gold cards and all that, the secret rare Pikachu. But with such easy pull rates, you could be getting a pretty significant amount of hits in your products. And these booster bundles, man, this is a product I have got really, really good hit rates on. I've opened these and I've had like 8 hits in 6 packs. It's pretty ridiculous. There are plenty of options for double bangers with the Galarian Gallery, with the Radiant cards, full arts like EXs, secret rares. There's a significant amount of hits that you could pull. But this product, man, a year ago it was going for $25, and throughout 2024 it snuck all the way up to like $42.50. It was then dropped on the Pokemon Center. I think Walmart's and some other places got it as well, causing the price to dip. It wasn't really moving much at 42 bucks, at least on TCG Player here. Dipped to about 27 and spiked right back up to 37. As soon as it got cheap, people started scooping it up. I think the Sea and Sky box, I think right now the insane popularity with a lot of these Scarlet and Violet sets, people are going to focus their eyes back to Crown Zenith. Such a good set. The fact that it's accessible is amazing, and I feel like this one is going to keep going up. This was the first holiday set that had the booster bundles. It's a product that collectors have been asking for a very long time, especially people who collect sealed product and want to keep product for the future. It's a way easier to have 6 packs in a little box. Even though this is the bigger, like square-shaped box, it's way easier to have this stored than a bunch of 4-pack like EX boxes. Those were so annoying to hold on to. I'd way rather grab these, and I think that's going to be the sentiment with a lot of collectors on a lot of these holiday sets. Next up, the ETB. The ETB has just seen consistent growth. It's at its 1-year high right now. 40 bucks this time last year, about $42. I scooped up a bunch of these because like at the time, nothing was really that hot. Like 151 was hot, but like Paldea Evolved, Paradox Rift, Obsidian Flame, Scarlet Violet Base, like all of those sets were like really cheap, like up until probably March of this year. And Crown Zenith was very similar. It didn't really spike up until May, and it was still like cheap. This is one, at least here in Canada, you can still get the Crown Zenith ETB bundles at Costco with the 2 tins. And when you're looking at the market price of this, 73 USD, you can be buying this for like 100 Canadian with the 2 tins. When you're looking at the conversion rates, you're pretty much getting the 2 tins for free when looking at market value, like secondary market value. Again, not the cheapest, like you could have bought this for half the price a year ago, but if you still need Crown Zenith, especially if you're in Canada and you shop at Costco, it might be worth picking up those bundles because they're at the point where the tins are basically free. Like if you can get the ETBs and sell them, you might be able to cover the cost and just have whatever Scarlet and Violet packs for free. Personally, I'd rather the ETB than the Scarlet and Violet packs, but if you're looking to grab some Scarlet Violet packs, that could be a play. The next product is the PC ETB. This stayed really consistent between like 110 and 120 throughout the entire year, pretty much throughout its entire existence. Up until November when there was like all this Pokemon Center ETB hype, all the Pokemon Center stamped promos were starting to go ridiculous. Everyone was kind of freaking out and buying whatever PC ETBs they could. Even ones that sat for months like Twilight Masquerade ended up selling out. It is only a matter of time before those go, but I think that caused this product to bounce up as well. Right now going for $138. It went up close to 25 bucks in the matter of like a month there. I feel like at $140, this is still a pretty solid buy. It doesn't have that PC ETB like exclusive promo, but it does have this exclusive box art. It has additional packs. It's got like special other stuff included. And honestly, this box looks way cooler than the regular ETB. The crown pattern in the background is like a nice gold foil. It's got a sleeve attached to it, so you can kind of see through the sleeve into the back with the Lucario on it. Like, It looks really nice, and I think it's definitely worth picking up if you haven't yet and you collect ETBs, or if you collect like more unique products. I feel like this is a little more unique than, just a mass collection of ETBs or whatever. Now on to the singles. There's been some movement, which is nice to see because I've made this video twice throughout 2024. This is going to be the third time. And in those, there wasn't really much shifting going on between the top 10. There's been a little bit more. A card that hasn't been in the top 10 before, really, is the Darkrai Vstar. This card is really, really nice. I don't even know if it's one I have. I'm looking to just collect the last few singles I need for the Galarian Gallery. It could still drop. Right now, it's basically at its 1-year high of $21. Really sweet card. Not one I feel like is going to be an outlier, like really bounce its way up through the top 10. I think there's just more iconic Pokemon on this list. But Darkrai Vstar, very cool, very sweet artwork for sure. I think it's a lot of people's favorite from this set. Next up is one of the consistent ones. Actually, I guess most of these going forward are pretty consistent and have been on the list for a long time. But we've got the Raikou at $23.15. A lot of these cards we'll see throughout this video had a huge spike back in around May, end of May, going into June. But it was as cheap as like $15. Went up like crazy, went up to $23. I mean, that's not breaking the bank. It's like a $7, $8 increase. Nothing too crazy, but dropped right back down to $17 and has climbed up. It actually hit its all-time high back in November at $24, but trickled down a little bit, sitting around $23. It is a really cool card. I should say it's like my favorite of the three dogs. I love the movement. I've always loved Raikou, but I think this card like really stands out amongst the other two. Speaking of the other two, Entei is not on this list, but we do have Suicune, which I feel like is the fan favorite of these three. This is a really sweet card. Honestly, nothing I would change on it artwork wise. Value right now is $25, which is quite a bit below that spike that it had in May of $30. So it's still not at its all-time high. It has still seen some good gains throughout the year though. It was as low as $13. So it's basically double its low point throughout the year. Again, not the most expensive it's been. If you bought these at $30, I guess it doesn't hurt that bad. It's only really a $5 hit. But this is why you be patient with stuff, especially products that are still getting printed, that are still out there and easy to get. I know we were all thinking Crown Zenith was definitely like at its end point, but we're here 6 months later and we're still talking about, is it at its end point? We're not 100% sure, but I do feel like there's going to be a lot less products out there and a lot of these singles are going to start going up. Next up, the Glaceon Vstar. I feel like there's really good potential in these cards, the Glaceon and the Leafeon. They're a lot easier to pull than the ones from Evolving Skies, but at the same time, I feel like they're still undervalued. $31.29, like $31 basically for Glaceon Vstar. I think it's a really good pickup. It spiked up to like $42, almost $45 earlier this year. I think I picked one up, but it was quite a bit cheaper. It wasn't market price. I picked it up in June. I think I spent like 35 Canadian, so nothing too bad. Probably cheaper than what it's at now, to be honest. But this is a really nice one. I think the Leafeon is really nice as well, which we'll talk about next. A little bit more expensive. It seems like this one is kind of the favored of the two. It hit its 1 year high of $43, so about the same, $45 we'll say. But its 1 year low has been $18, so $20 for an alternate art or a special art of the Leafeon is kind of crazy. Any evolution, I feel like we're not really going to see that in the future, especially with prismatic evolutions coming out. People are going to go crazy for those EVs. But this Leafeon, it settled back down to about $24, $25. But has since climbed back up to $33. Pretty sure I still need this one, so it's a good one to keep an eye on. I do think come February, this one's going to spike up. I wouldn't be surprised if Leafeon and Glaceon grow like another 20% in the next 2 months. Next up, getting into the gold card territory, we're in that top 5. We've got the Origin Form Palkia Vstar. This one is still a lot cheaper than that initial spike. Absolute craziness. It went from $34 to $68, basically $70 here in May, but trickled right back down to $40 and is now sitting here around $58. A pretty cool one, honestly. My least favorite of the three. I don't really like the Origin Form Palkia or Dialga too much. Definitely prefer Dialga over Palkia, but sweet card and part of a set. I feel like you need to get all four. Still one I need to pick up. Now the Dialga, very similar price pattern, except it didn't hit a huge high back in May. It hit $60 and is now back up to like $63. It dipped down to $42. So if you were buying these on the dip, not like huge gains, but if you bought multiple copies of these, just to fund, keeping one for yourself or maybe grade a few of them and whatever the case may be. If you bought a couple of these, pretty solid price growth, $20 in the last 3 months. A really good one. And I've said it before, I think a lot of people have said it. These are some of the best gold cards that have ever been released. The artwork is amazing. We haven't really had like an alternate art gold card that's more than like a shiny Pokemon or just a gold item or whatever it may be. These go really hard, and even though Dialga and Palkia might not be the most popular of these 4 legendary cards we're going to talk about, I do think down the line these are going to be iconic and kind of a staple of the Crown Zenith or even Sword and Shield era. Next up is the Arceus, which is actually a pretty solid purchase right now, I'd say at like $82. It has gone for over 100 in the last year, so it actually dipped all the way down to like 55, so $80 is still a pretty solid deal in my eyes. I would consider picking this up. This is my favorite of the 4. I think a lot of people like Giratina, which we're going to still see on this list. But Arceus, I think this card is really cool. I'm a fan for the symmetrical cards that are kind of, I guess it's like asymmetrical. It's very, very balanced, very similar all around the card. An amazing one, definitely one I still need to pick up. Next up is a card that I feel like still has really good potential to possibly take over the #1 spot on this list, and it's the Mewtwo Vstar. This is by far my favorite card in this set, and it has been ever since it was released. I'm really happy I was able to pull this early on, ended up grading it, and it got the 10. Stoked on that because the price of this card has just been growing like crazy. The PSA 10s have been going up like crazy as well. Its 1-year low was about $45, but right now it's sitting at about $90. And like I said, I feel like this card has potential to go to the #1 spot one of these days. Its counterpart Charizard card has been doing pretty good as of late as well. It definitely saw some price growth, and to have both of them side by side is pretty sweet. Honestly, this card looks really, really nice in person. The colors pop really good. I feel like it's a staple for any collection, especially if you collect like Mewtwo cards or Sword and Shield like alternate art style cards. I do feel like this one is on track to cracking over $100 in 2025, but I'm really interested to see where the ceiling might be on Mewtwo Vstar. Next up, the final card, #1, is the Giratina. Pretty sure this card has been #1 for at least the last year, possibly the entire lifespan of Crown Zenith so far, and it's actually at its 1-year high. This one has been continuing to grow. I thought this would slow down, but right now it's at $145. Pretty crazy, but the love for Giratina is there. Like, that alternate art is going places I didn't think it would. Maybe I just don't get the artwork. Maybe I just don't have respect for Giratina. I never played Pokemon Platinum. I didn't really play like Gen 4, probably my least played generation. But the Giratina Vstar, man, people love it. I feel like there's a lot of people that want the alternate art Giratina, and then they look at this and they're like, oh, I should get both. They're really, really sweet cards. And I do agree. They're both very cool, but not my favorites by any means. And this is going to be a tough one for me to pick up at this price. It's still one I need. I got pretty lucky and pulled a lot of the big hits early with Crown Zenith, but I never pulled any of these gold cards. I have been picking up a lot of these throughout the year as they were cheaper, especially some of these smaller cards, but the Giratina is one I've just kind of been putting off. I haven't really been wanting to buy it. There's been bigger collection goals for me. But in the new year, I'm going to be definitely looking to pick this guy up, probably trading some of my other cards for this, because I mean, it's a beautiful card. I feel like the price could continue going up on this guy, and I just need to finish that binder, man. I've been trying to finish the Galarian Gallery and all the trainer galleries all year, and I've been slacking big time on it. I've made a pretty big dent, but there's still quite a few cards I need. But yeah, definitely one I'm going to be looking to pick up in the new year. All right, guys, so there's a look at the Crown Zenith market, the top 10 singles, and some of the kind of staple sealed products people collect. I do think this might be your last chance to get Crown Zenith at this price. I feel like singles are a little volatile. They could dip down a little bit when the Pokemon hype dies back, but at the same time, I feel like sealed product is going to slowly get more expensive over the next 6 months with this set. And in turn, I feel like the singles might follow suit. I would recommend picking some of these up if you need them sooner than later. Some of them could drop as well if there's like a really big set, you know, Team Rocket, Prismatic Evolutions, whatever there is. If there's a set a lot of collectors are like really trying to get or really trying to master set, they might sell some of these older cards to try to fund the new stuff. So keep an eye on the market as a whole, see how other set releases can affect Crown Zenith, and jump in when you can, grab these at a good price. If it's a card you really want, I'd recommend picking it up because as we've seen with other Sword and Shield sets, once they're not on shelves, the price is getting, pretty crazy. All right, guys, so let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what your favorite card from Crown Zenith is. And that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one, all right? Peace!